Krishna Prabhupada. You may take over the call, Prabhuji, when you are ready.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, All Worship Prabhupada. It's a pleasure to always discuss Srimad Bhagavatam in the Assembly of the Devotees. So thank you so much for having this service regularly going on, and we will chant the invocation prayer and chant the context. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, text number 14. Balagnihyo vriditastatatra Balahatya hata prabhaha Balahatya vratam cherirur Brahmanairyan nirupitam Yamunayam maharajam Smarantyo vijabashitam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Queen Kritadyuti's co-wives who had poisoned the child were very much ashamed, and they lost all their bodily luster. While lamenting, O king, when they remembered the instructions of Angira and gave up their ambition to bear children. Following the directions of the Brahmanas, they went to the bank of the Yamuna, where they bathed and atoned for their sinful activities. Purport. In this verse, the word Balahatya Hata Prabhaha is to be particularly noted. The practice of killing children has existed in human society for a long time, since time immemorial. But in the days of yore, it was very rarely performed. At the present moment, however, in this age of Kali, abortion, killing of the child within the womb, has become very common, and sometimes a child is even killed after birth. If a woman performs such an abominable act, she gradually loses all her bodily luster. Balahatya hata pravaha. It is also to be noted that the ladies who had committed the sinful act of administering poison to the child were very much ashamed, and according to the direction of the Brahmanas, they had to undergo atonement for killing the child. Any woman who has ever performed such an infamously sinful act must atone for it. But no one now is doing that. Under the circumstances, the woman responsible must suffer in this life and the next. Those who are sincere souls, after hearing this incident, should refrain from such child killing and should atone for their sinful activities by taking to Krishna consciousness very seriously. If one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offenses, all of one's sinful actions are surely atoned for immediately, but one should not commit such deeds again, for that is an offense. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaham Vishnu Padayam Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedantam Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bala Vishnu Gritiditastatra Balahatya Hata Prabha Balahatya Vratam Cherur Brahmanair Yan Nirupitam Yamunayam Maharaja Smarat Smaranantyo Dvijabhashitam. Queen Kritadyuti's co-wives who had poisoned the child were very much ashamed, and they lost all their bodily luster. While lamenting, O king, they remembered the instructions of Angira and gave up their ambition to bear children. Following the directions of the Brahmanas, they went to the bank of the Yamuna, where they bathed and atoned for their sinful activities. So, the context that we are in is very important and very critical for practicing devotees, where we have a lot of lessons to learn. It is explained that a first class intelligence is that we get to learn from others' mistakes, or we get to learn from the situations that happened in our life in the past. Sometimes we are so overwhelmed or so much dwelling in our sensual pleasure that we fail to recognize divine intervention or divine hand. So, what has happened in the case of Chitraketu, when this endeavor of begetting a child was first suggested, Angira Rishi that time itself denied. And when such denial comes from a higher source, we should treat that as the Lord's advice. Brahmanosya mukhamasi bahura janyakritaha. The Supreme Lord, if He wishes to speak to us, one of the channel through which He speaks to us is through Brahmanas. So, when that was ignored, the lesson was not learned. Now there's another opportunity given to the entire family. So Harsha Shoka, by the blessings of Narada Muni, came back to life, gave the entire science of Atma Tattva Jnana, and once again went back to rest. Meaning the soul went back where it came from. So after hearing from Harsha Shoka, now everybody is feeling ashamed, including the ladies who gave poison to the child. So as usual, we will churn this current context through some sets of reflections. we are going to have 3 sets of reflections, and each of the reflection have got sub points. The first reflection is about the after effects of advice from Harsha Shoka. When Harsha Shoka, the child, came back to life by the blessings of Narada Muni, and presented the signs of spirit soul, what are the after effects? The first after effect was Chitraketu's life's perspectives and priorities changed. Number 2, the king, the queen, and other co-wives all resolved to worship the Supreme Lord. Third, they decided to atone for their mistake and took a sankalpa not to repeat the mistake again. If you can draw a parallel and take something for us, so what are all the after effects of receiving advice from Srimad Bhagavatam for our lives? If you replace the episode of Harsha Shoka with different sets of great challenges that you would have gone through or would have seen in somebody else's life, we need to also try to align ourselves to these 3 after effects. So a practicing devotee who has studied, heard Srimad Bhagavatam, who has got some sense of sincerity and seriousness in his practices, should, number 1, should change his or her life's priorities and perspective. Prior to coming in contact with Krishna consciousness, or even whilst we were in Krishna consciousness but not too much active or diving deep into the science of Krishna consciousness, we may have overlooked several things. But at least at some point in time, we say the point in time when I have accepted my spiritual master, the point in time when I am, apparently given a blessings by the Lord in the form of a challenge in my life and I am facing trouble. In a point in time when I am seeing my near and dear ones going through some rough patch. In a point in time when I have heard these particular, sets of lectures and instructions from my seniors. There should be some beginning point for us to change the priorities and perspectives of our life. We cannot travel in 2 boats simultaneously, even though we may desire to do so. By and large, all the practicing devotees have got an understanding about Krishna consciousness and how important it is to be followed. But the challenge is the sense gratificatory and the mental platform on which we were operating is not letting us go. So one leg is in that boat, one leg is in the boat of Krishna consciousness. The stage of anartha nivritti is that. The stage of anartha nivritti is mood swings between Krishna consciousness and sense gratifications. And the stage of anartha nivritti is sometimes over excitement, sometimes over deprived. The stage of anartha nivritti is sometimes that I am sometimes overconfident, sometimes I am completely not interested. So when I am toitering on two boats, we should take some timelines, some time to put our foot down and take a firm decision. Because every decision of our lives is going to have something new from what we have been doing. Because there will be always an inertia. Suppose if I have to relocate from Mumbai to another city, to another country, there will be inertia. So if I have to change from my current job to another job, there will be inertia. If I have to change from one form of activities to another set of activities, any time when there is a change, there is always some sort of a discomfort. But we need to know the change is inevitable and is the only constant. Better to do change for betterment. Otherwise, we will be pushed to change by time. Either you take the call to change or time will take the call to change. If we take the call to change, it will be for our good and also good of all our dependents. If time does that, then we have very less options. The first reflection hence is that we as students of Srimad Bhagavatam, who are every day hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, who have been practicing Srimad Bhagavatam or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for several years, should put our foot down and say that yes, I am taking a decision, because of which I may have to go through so much of handling. It was not easy for Srila Prabhupada to switch from Grahastha to Avanaprastha and eventually Sannyas. You look at every Acharya's life, you look at every missionary's life, you look at everybody who has achieved their goals. They have taken decisions towards their goal. They have not been procrastinating. So the reflections here are, the first reflection has got 3 points. Number 1, don't procrastinate. Please change our perspective and priorities towards our life and align them in favor of Krishna consciousness. Even though it may have some inertia, it may have some apparent discomfort coming our way. Because theoretically we know for sure Krishna is everything for us. Just that because of extended association of Maya, we may still have some attachments, affiliations and comfort towards her. But don't worry, Krishna can give 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, unbelievable amount of times comfort and happiness, which otherwise here is not available. The second part of the first reflection is, for that to go and align towards, let us dovetail our prayer, our time, personal time with the Supreme Lord, to worship Him, so that He gives us enough courage, enough vairagya for us to stay steadfastly focused on this path. Because every path that you take, there will be some agents who are going to come in your way and try to disturb you. But it is important that we need to take the path of righteousness so that we are never sorry. The third part of the first reflection is, for what we have done in the past, there should be some remorse, there should be some repentance, there should be some atonement. even though the forward process has got self-healing, self-purifying, self-cleaning mechanism. But as a gesture to teach ourselves, to teach our mind, to teach the multiple personalities sitting within ourselves, that I will not repeat this mistake because I have to go through this atonement. So be ready to say sorry to whomever you have to say sorry to whichever situation it was, to say sorry to the past mistakes, and be ready to atone for us. Not some lip service, but some really serious ones. This, from a practicing devotee standpoint, we may have to, because this is what means internalizing Srimad Bhagavatam. If I read Srimad Bhagavatam, if I am not internalizing them, if I am not applying them in my lives, then I am having medicine for my disease, but not consuming them and still living with disease, even though I have the cure in my hand. I keep cribbing about my disease, whilst I have cure in my hand, is called stupidity par excellence. If somebody has got Srimad Bhagavatam, if somebody has got Srimad Bhagavata, if somebody is associated with spiritual institutions, and if they don't surrender, then Krishna will have to find a way by which he will fix this. So hence, let's try to not procrastinate. Let's change our perspectives and priorities towards Krishna. And number two, for that, let's worship, pray, and yearn and request the Lord to facilitate the necessary resources for that, and atone, remorse, repent for our past mistakes, and be ready to ask for forgiveness from whomever we have to, and be ready to take a sankalpa that I am ready to walk on the path of righteousness and will never repeat the mistake again. This is what actually they did. This is what the current context is. This is exactly what, after Narada Muni's intervention, they did that. The second reflection in this current context is, as I said, the Lord is constantly making us aware and trying to give us various channels by which we can learn. So I have made a small flow chart of how, when we are in ignorance, we can evolve towards the transcendental state. From Naradama to Narottama, you need to have some sort of a journey. So we will go through that flow chart, wherein prior to coming in Krishna consciousness, I was ignorant, but now I am in Krishna consciousness. I should not be ignorant, and there should be a day, there will be a day where I am completely aligned with reality and surrendered to the absolute truth. So this transformation process, we go through a flow chart. So we'll start with ignorance. I will, try to explain. Just a second, I'll try to use my whiteboard for this sake. Can someone give me access to the whiteboard, or I just want to use the Zoom's whiteboard? Is it possible? Make me co-host or something like that. Thank you. So I will use this whiteboard to explain. So technically, we are all in the stage of ignorance, where I am ignorant of who am I, where I belong to, what is my purpose of life. I am completely engrossed in sensory activities, or because of my association, because of my extended indulgence in activities which I'm not supposed to. So in whatever may be the case, I have been ignorant or I became intelligent because of association. The beginning point of our flow chart starts with me being ignorant. So when I'm ignorant, somewhere or the other, as I said, Krishna, looking at our past, looking at different episodes that happen in our life, looking at different circumstances where we would have expressed ourselves to the Supreme Lord, he gives us some intelligence. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Mattaha smriti jnanam apohanamscha vedeschu sarvai ahameva vedyo vedantakrit vedavit eva chaham. Sorry. So Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that I am the one who is supposed to be known by all the Vedas. Mattaha smriti jnanam apohanamscha. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So what happens is that through different episodes in our life, Krishna gives some sort of what we call as some intelligence or some episodes which suddenly makes people to start thinking, my God, it shakes that person. He's completely, shooked up. He completely get into, some sort of a stage where he's not sure that how all these years he has been, behaving like this. So let us say we start with ignorance. And when we use our intelligence, or if we have some episodes where combined together, what happens is that this gives us doubts. This raises some questions in our heart. It also has got some aspiration. Some aspiration to function better. Suddenly we may have some realization, because of certain episodes. So then what do we do generally when we have such scenarios? Especially sad buddhi jab aa jate hain, when it comes, then we go and consult. This intelligence is raw. This is some sort of a raw thought. So we consult or approach by some Krishna's blessings. We approach some source of righteousness, right knowledge, proper knowledge. What happens is that, many a times we would know them just around us, but we would have not used them. It may be within our family, within our friend circle. Maybe many times, many people would have called us. Yesterday morning I was reading about, book distribution episode from Jayapatak Maharaj, where he was mentioning that there were people who are about to commit suicide. This guy, he was fully drunk, and somehow when he went outside, some devotees sold him books. In the drunken state, what he realized, he purchased the book. It was in his suitcase, but he never remembered when he bought. But one fine day when everything was collapsing and suddenly he opened the suitcase and he saw Bhagavad Gita, he read Bhagavad Gita, he approached devotees, he got completely transformed life. So sometimes certain episodes in our life direct us, and again, this is divine intervention. Definitely Krishna's hand is always there, because as the Supreme Lord, he is always available to somehow bring us back to him. So he keeps his stride. So when we have doubts, questions, and aspirations, then we consult an approach and seek some proper guidance. And then what happens that when we do that, logically what happens is that we get clarity. We get clarity to do things. We get clarity on who, what, why, when, several questions which we may have ignored. All of those things are slowly coming to some clarity. Oh my God, probably I heard this before. My grandfather said this, but I never took it seriously in my house, in my neighborhood. So certain clarity comes in because these self-realized sources, these proper knowledge, these guidances will actually tell you the reality. Why is it that somebody, when he reads Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, after distress, he is able to jump up, immediately able to take it seriously, because Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita exactly tells what is going on in your life. Now, one friend of mine was telling me very nicely, in happy times, we enjoy the musics. When we are in trouble, we understand the lyrics. That's exactly what happens in our lives. In happy times, or things are going, hunky-dory, we are kind of, all over the place, jumping around. Prabhupada says, bada bada bandar, bada bada pet, salon jumping melancholy, big monkey, big belly, salon jumping melancholy. So the idea is that we maybe, in our hunky-dory days, would have not overlooked certain basic common sense things. So when we get clarity, we develop some, desire. So definitely what happens is that, we develop desire. Desire for what? We develop desire for, learning more. So when such desires are there, when we have, such desires to learn more, what do? We go back to this place where we have more association and along with more association, we also apply what we have learned, apply knowledge. So this applied knowledge is something that makes it much more interesting, because Krishna says, Susukam kartum avyayam. It is not just some theoretical stuff. It is susukam. It is super happiness. It gives you very nice happiness. It gives you so much of wonderful things. So at the end of the day, it is important for us to know that somewhere or other down the line, we might need to apply. Till we don't apply, till we don't, try to put the learnings in practice, we will always be limping. We will always be, thinking what to do next, what is about life. So this stage of developing desire with applied knowledge, this is a very long stage because we keep doing this. Is a spiral, and this spiral is a, I just by mistake drew a downward spiral. It is technically an upward spiral where it takes you from nothing, it takes you upwards, all the way up. So this stage is very important. And this stage is called the stage where we are properly situated. This is a stage where we can say that I am properly situated. So this, at least to the barest minimum, we all should achieve. And this, we should not leave that place. I'm sure most of us are here. Now, from this point in time, how do we go further up? From this point in time, we need to make sure that we build it up from this, not lose it from here. Many times, because of our wrong decisions, we lose it from here. New whiteboard. So now I am properly situated. Then what happens? This is the stage where I have developed discrimination. Previously, I did not develop discrimination. Now I have developed discrimination. Because of me developing discrimination, I have something called as purity in purpose. Whatever I am doing with purpose. And because of this, what happens to my spiritual life? I develop something called as dedication. Because now I have some purity in purpose, so whatever I am doing with a lot of dedication. And this dedication will bring in something called as a very, as we always call, natural love or raghanuga, which means discipline. What is raganuga sadhana bhakti? Which means I have natural love and I am disciplined. Previously, I was not disciplined. I was living in my own world. So when I am disciplined with all this combination, what happens is I grow in my love for Krishna firmly, and that gives rise to determination to continue that path forever. And that eventually takes me to the right destination. So right from the beginning, we started off with ignorance. What was the turning point? The turning point was getting clarity on who we are, why, what, when, because of the association of devotees. So in this current context, also, how this entire transformation happened. Our first reflection about those three sets of transformation that happened in King Chitraketu's life and his queen's life. It was because they met Narada Muni and Angira Muni. They met the devotees earlier also. But the problem was at that point in time, they were dwelling in some other paradise. But now the challenges, that is why sometimes challenges coming our way is good. When the challenges come our way, combined with divine association, sometimes works wonders. And interestingly, I have done small study. You look at every Vaishnava Acharya's journey. Just to teach us or not, they have gone through some apparent quote unquote challenges or stumbling blocks to demonstrate. See, these are all not sometimes a pain that the Lord has given you. They are all sometimes the opportunity the Lord has given us. So, my second reflection I would like to say is, from ignorance to reaching the right destination, it's a very logical flow. And maybe this flow is a spiral by itself. But at least we should come to the stage of having discrimination. We need to learn to discriminate. This is useful, this is not useful. This discrimination, if it is not there, then we are not different from animals. So we need to develop discrimination, and eventually, things will fall in place. So this is my second reflection. And the third reflection from this current context, which Srila Prabhupada is very strongly warning us, is about the mentality of people of this Kali Yuga, where they are supporting being party to a criminal, heinous act of killing the children in their womb. Sorry to say, using of contraceptives, using any unhealthy way to evade the result of sense gratification is seen as a direct violation to Dharma. Srila Prabhupada was warned us that these 4 regulative principles are a must. We may be impulsive, but we'll have to somewhere or the other find out some ways and means to regulate ourselves. And for some reason, we have flipped. Then we should be ready to face the consequences by accepting our mistakes. This act of killing the child in the womb through abortion and other ways is, I will do my mistake, but I do not want the consequences. So this current civilization is heading towards a direction. Unfortunately, the problem is that people nowadays are so much they are so much senseless and so much self-centered that they are only interested in their personal agenda and not interested in any other agenda. So the act of emotionally being attached, especially in various places, the example of mother and son, how that relationship is very divine, very noble, very special, is always referred that how a mother will have a natural affection towards the children. But those days are slowly going away because there is no emotional bonding. The reason the emotional bonding is not there is because the parents, the new generation, starting to believe that the children are burden. They are going to an extent that they do not want to themselves beget the child. They are using surrogacy or any other, technical ways to beget the child. So to just prove a point, just to have some sort of social status, just to share, okay, I have made so much of wealth, at least let me give to somebody whom I will have some blood relation or some sort of weird reason. So Prabhupada says that these acts are completely making Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga very gory, very, very difficult. As the day progresses, as the year progresses, as the millennium progresses, we have a challenge. So that is why Prabhupada says that my books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. So please buckle up and try to make your life sorted, serious practice, become a serious practitioner. So my third reflection is that we, being a practicing devotee, should be very careful. I am saying this with all honesty and genuinity in my services to counsel Vaishnavas and their devotee families, some grahasthas. I have come across situations where devotees sometimes seek abortion, sometimes they use contraceptives, sometimes they have extramarital relationship. So it is extremely concerning. As practicing devotees, we should not be supporting this. We should be very careful and take necessary help. It may be challenging, our senses will be very powerful, so we need to take necessary help. And if you know someone is going through that, please help them. Have sympathy towards them, have empathy towards them, help them come out of this, because this is how Kali penetrates in our lives. So we should not be party to adharma, even though if they are maybe your own family members, they are maybe your own near and dear ones. Please consult some Vaishnavas and take necessary caution. Please don't commit sinful activities and try to think that these sinful activities can be nullified by chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is Srila Prabhupada's last statement of this purport. Agreed that your mistakes done could be forgiven. If your mistakes are because of your inability to control yourself, it can be understood and Krishna can facilitate to somehow help you come out of it. But if you are trying to be little lethargic and if you are trying to be overconfident that anyway I have holy name, so I can anytime go and take atonement or take shelter of holy name and get purified, so that is a very very risky proposition. So please control such urges through proper channelizing our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jihva vegam utara upaste vegam etan vegan jo vishaheta dhiraha sarvan apimam prithvim sasishyat. So Prabhupada is very clearly saying that a woman, or here is referring to woman, but anybody who is responsible in killing such a child, in behaving in such a manner. We have a congregation of devotees who are doctors, and one of the devotee doctor mentioned to me that I'm planning to. She's a gynecologist, and she's part of my counseling group. So she is very clear right from the day she is practicing Krishna consciousness, that how to handle these abortion cases, because nowadays people do come for such things. So we had a very healthy conversation. I do not want to digress the agenda here. If you are all doctors, you may also have such impulses. You may have your job demands you to do that. So please be careful. These are all clear-cut violation to dharma. There are ways and means, like for example, a devotee working in a Pilsner company. You cannot come and say that, Prabhuji, it is my job. I am working in a vodka manufacturing company. So how can I avoid? I'm chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So there are ways and means by which you can handle this. We did go through several such episodes in our lives. That is why we say a living Vaishnava's help should be taken, so that your swadharma of you looking after your family is taken care. At the same time, your paro dharma, important practicing of Krishna consciousness, is also equally taken care. These topics are taken generally in a one-on-one counseling session, because it is important that we try to find out the real problem and try to address them. But our endeavor, our heart to heart, our feeling should be, I am not party to any type of adharma. Here it is talking about abortion, child killing and related things. But any kind of adharma, we are not supposed to party. We are supposed to work on to come out of it slowly. Come out of it slowly, or fight for it and establish dharma, establish bhakti, establish the process of Krishna consciousness. We may not be able to do it alone, but collectively we can. So that is why we are all supposed to work hand in hand to win against Kali Purusha. If we are not going to fight hand in hand, work in hand, Kali Purusha is going to win us. So it is important that we take up Krishna consciousness process seriously and not take it lightly, or not take it as a, as Prabhupada used to say, that Monday to Saturday A person commits sin, and Sunday he go to the church and ask for forgiveness. So that's not acceptable. That's not how it works. So to conclude our discussions today, we had three sets of reflections from this current context. The first reflection is about the after effect of receiving advice from Harsha Shoka. Chitraketu's life and perspectives and priorities changed. The king, the queen, Krityadyuti, and her co-wives and her co-sisters, co-wives of Chitraketu, they all resolved to worship the Supreme Lord, and they all decided to atone for their mistakes and took a sankalpa not to repeat the mistakes again. And the parallel to us in our lives is we also will not procrastinate in trying to take up active Krishna conscious life. So we will try to rework on our priorities and perspectives towards our life and align them towards Krishna consciousness. We will have to make sure that for that journey, we will pray and worship the Supreme Lord sincerely so that the necessary enablement comes from Him. And last but not least, the first reflection, we did discuss about how it is important that we have some remorse, we have some repentance. We have to atone for the mistakes that we have done so that we will not repeat it again, and we should take sankalpa about it. And that is how those things we can come out of it. So be ready to ask sorry, be ready to ask forgiveness, or even be ready to give forgiveness to someone. Either way, it will be helping you to move in the very productive, happy, devotional journey forward. The second reflection we did discuss about how beginning from ignorance by we being little intelligent, little conscious, little introspective, little inquisitive, we can change the entire course trajectory of our journey. So we saw a flow chart that I was ignorant, but some challenge, some pain, some problem, some difficulty, or something happened in my life, or something happened around me, woke me up. So with little use of intelligence and experience in my life, how the journey was that. So we developed some doubts, questions, aspirations to function differently. Oh my God, all the while I thought this is the happiness, but this is not the way it looks like. And then we discussed the entire flow chart, and at least we discussed that we need to stay in a properly situated platform, which is about getting clarity on who we are, why and what things happen around me. And this is possible only in the association of devotees, as it has just happened, especially when we have challenges in our life and when we get devotees association. That combination is fantastic. So when Angira Muni and Narada Muni gave their piece of advice now through Harsha Shoka, everything made sense. The same set of advice that Angira Muni earlier gave was not going in anyone's ears. So finally, they could develop discrimination, and eventually they developed dedication, discipline, determination, and finally reaching the destination of Supreme Lord, which is definitely, that's next part of the series, where Chitraketu is going to invoke the prayer that Narada Muni is going to teach, and Chitraketu is going to see the Lord Sankarishna face to face. The third reflection is about we trying to not party to the side of adharma. We try to quit dharma. We try to somehow or other work in such a manner. I will not support anything that is to do with adharmic activities. It may be difficult, it may be tough, so we might need to take some external help. And slowly, at least from our thinking engine, we should be very clear that adharma should not be part of my life. So I will stop here and take up if there are any questions or comments or reflections. I'll be happy to respond. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaurav Premanande. Hare Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. All grace to Sri Prabhupada. It was such a nice class explaining how a sinner, karmi, sinful person can gradually, or in different ways. First, of course, is the mercy of the exalted devotees like Narada Muni and Angira Muni, how they can quickly jump their gunas and come to the proper realization. and how and how the and of course the adharma we have to get rid of. So I was thinking like that there are the different kinds of devotees, like I mean not devotees though, I mean siddhas, that is nitya siddha, the kripa siddha, and sadhana siddha. So we are in the sadhana siddha, but some of the people who by the presence of the, I mean by the association of pure devotees immediately transcend many barriers, many levels of gunas, and come to the it's sometimes it's very difficult to, I mean, you know, preaching we see to elevate as somebody who's in a deep mode of ignorance. He is even the words of wisdom in various with examples also, they will not get into their head. They will still be very much stubborn in their ways of life. Of course, the stubbornness is there as part of tamasic quality. Yeah, I mean, this is your analysis and how the jiva comes to first atonement stage, reflects upon what he has done, and remorseful, and then tries to atone, and then his purification starts. That is very nice to reflect upon and implement in our lives, and also preaching. And of course, the Kali Yuga is full of adharmas. The adharmas are there in the government machinery, executive, in the legislation, everywhere there is adharma, there are demons, and the effects of that are very visible every, especially in America. It's a demonic society, everything is demonic. And as you said that that is Saturday, Monday to Saturday they are sinning, and Sunday they are that too very few people are going to the church and seeking forgiveness. But at least those are seeking forgiveness, at least they have realization that they have done something wrong. But there are a great majority of people, and the numbers are increasing. They are simply unable to conjure up, unable to think that they have done something wrong, and that number is unfortunately increasing. And so it is all the more important, as you nicely said, to stick to Prabhupada's prescription, so that we be in the right path, we become examples, and we spread the mission of Mahaprabhu to liberate as many people from this material morass as possible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your kind words, Prabhuji. Anybody else has any comments, reflections, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, very nice class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I did not understand the point that you mentioned about the discrimination. Can you please explain that?
The point I was trying to say is that when you are saying that I am properly situated, so one of the important criteria of somebody being properly situated, for example, when I say that I am a practicing devotee, that now I have got a little understanding in Krishna consciousness, that I am at least properly situated. So at least the barest minimum expected of us is we learn to discriminate. When I say learn to discriminate, we need to learn to differentiate between sahi, galat, acha, bura. Whatever that is favorable to Krishna consciousness, whatever that is not favorable to Krishna consciousness. Prior to that, for us, everything is hunky-dory, everything is externally decided. But now that we have got a vision, we have got some training, we have got some input saying that, oh no, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. Like for example, I went to a doctor, the doctor suggested that I have diabetes and certain things are eatable, certain things are poison to me. So then I will naturally develop a discrimination, saying that, okay, this is good, for the tongue, but poison to my body. This is maybe not good for my tongue, but maybe medicine for my body. So there are certain ways by which my entire line of thought will be, changed. So Prabhupada explains that one of the important quality of Madhyamadhikari, it is there explained in Nectar of Instruction, shloka number 7 or 8 in the purport. Madhyamadhikari, when he comes down, Uttamadhikari, when he comes down to preach as Madhyamadhikari, then one of the things that they have to do is they have to discriminate, differentiate, discriminate not in the sense that, discriminating or, pulling somebody down. Discriminating means differentiating, classifying, identifying this is good, not good. So a Madhyamadhikari knows that this is ignorant, this is innocent, this is idiot, this is somebody whom we can work with, this is somebody who is arrogant. So they kind of classify them accordingly, instructions are given. It's not that everybody is put in the same basket and treated. So what I meant is, at least to the least, we should come to the stage to know to differentiate between illusion and reality. If we are not able to discriminate that now, after being a student of Srimad Bhagavatam, then probably we will be consuming illusion and remaining illusion, thinking that I am in reality. That is the greatest of illusion. So at least to the extent I need to know I am diseased, at least to the extent know that these are all some things that are detrimental for me, then correction can be worked upon. Making sense, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, comments? Okay, thank you so much for engaging me in the service and looking forward for the future Sangha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this nectarian class and the summary of the class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. And pranam. Let's pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas and Prabhuji. Vancha kalpataruvascha kripasindhu vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace RamGiridhari Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.